So, what would you recommend to a marketer who, might be trying to reach a general audience? Are there some takeaways?
There are some takeaways. Again, I might be repeating myself because I think embedded in there was the takeaway that simply think of all of your marketing as multicultural. There are a lot of identities that needs to embrace and needs to convey, and under that overall umbrella, um, to have to get granular with some very focused, targeted Asian, Hispanic, African American, white urban type marketing and communication. But the overall, it shouldn't be now divorced from the general marketing. There should be a connection. And of course, it's fortunately for industry and marketers, it's that connection, being connected in all forms, mobile, broadband, traditional television, is that issue or challenge is common to all of our businesses. So this just fits in with the whole way we need to relate to marketing in general. So I think the adaptation will be even more successful than in the past.
You describe many different platforms. Are there certain platforms that certain multicultural groups gravitate towards than others? Are there some that will be particularly popular or important by group?
Um, well, there are some trends developing. For example, we haven't read too much meaning into it yet, and it's sort of not the end of a growth process, but it does seem that African American, Hispanic young people, but not just young people and young families gravitate towards mobile media, whereas the Asian markets gravitate more towards computer and laptop based um, media. And so there's one trend that's developing. I'm not sure that they'll really be divergent. I think um, um, we have to think in terms of legacy. So the white, non-Hispanic, and Asian markets in in previous years have over-indexed on adoption of these new technologies, and African American, Hispanic have under-indexed. Now that they've caught up, the uh, the newest technology in the hands of African Americans and Hispanics are the newest technology. Perhaps white, non-Hispanic, and Asian are using legacy type computer and broadband access, whereas African Americans and Hispanic have the latest smartphone or iPhone or Droid in their hand because they didn't have the old legacy system that wasn't video oriented. So we have to see whether it's a trend that's inherent in the different attitudes or towards these devices, or simply as the technology's been adopted or distributed.
So, where do you think the trend is for television? What do you think will happen?
Okay, this is a lot of people think it's a $64 question. A lot of people think when we start with the notion of now mobile and broadband, is this brings up the question: is this now the end of television? First, I want to say historically, media has never been adopted that way. You can take what I just said all the way back to radio and Edison's phonograph. They're all, even the phonograph is still around, making a little bit of a comeback. So, so all the media builds on another, and basically, so it's an additive process. Video is now available at more times during the day, under more conditions, to more people, and that's the trend. So it's actually healthy for television. And in fact, my personal opinion is that the mobile broadband platforms don't, and the on-demand platforms don't live without the fundamental basis of television as a universal promotional device that feeds all the other devices. People want to see it on all these devices because it's on television, because it's scheduled by professional programmers who know what they're doing to entertain you, to keep you attracted, to keep you on their brand and on their network. They're driving your interests. So now you'll access that product on the best available screen at your fingertips at the moment. So all of this is enabling of television. My hope, some people laugh at me when I say this, but I really see this. It's so good for television that without naming any names that are on the negative side of this, I think there'll be a return to quality television because people do have choices in what they watch. It's not just primitive VOD, which is basically 200 channels. It's primitive VOD, so it's 9:15 and you missed the start of your favorite drama series, so you can now flip through the channels and find something on demand. So it's much more sophisticated. And part of my message that with some tweaks and important changes, and we can talk about young people now coming from an age of interactivity as an important, perhaps, exception to my rule, is that people do what they've always done in better, more convenient ways. And of course, I think Jobs and the iPhone and the iPad fit that parameter of mine perfectly. Their adoption is because they figured out how to deliver what people have always done and want to do in better, more convenient, simpler ways. And that's the trend that we're seeing in television. And every television, I'm saying it positively an opportunity, but of course a challenge. You have to stay in the game. You have to have the right talent, the right attitude, the right investment, and know how to monetize all these assets to keep it going. Unfortunately, some of what we see from companies and from people analyzing companies is this winner-take-all attitude. They're either fighting tooth and nail to keep things proprietary and not open and not get in the game, or claiming that the Googles, Microsofts, and Steve Jobs of these worlds are going to destroy the business. Maybe it does have something to do with our politics, which is majority rule. We have no proportional representation, so we have trouble thinking that everybody can get a share and do well. But that would be, I don't know if it's my prediction, let's call it my hope, but maybe also a prediction.